Tucked away in the village of Rowena in Lancaster County lies Shock Graveyard. This small cemetery, better known to locals as the Hans Graf Cemetery, is surrounded by a low stone wall. The wall has no entrance or gate. Is this meant to keep people out or to keep something in? Legend has it that if you visit on the night of the full moon and walk around the perimeter 7 times, you will perish before the sun rises, hunted down by the white werewolf. Who would be foolish enough to try?
Hey, it's Jamie with Jott-Nyx Paranormal. We are, it's very dark, obviously, and so that means we are out at the Hans Graf Cemetery in Rowena, PA. We are going to do an urban legend and try to figure out if we circle the cemetery, which is right behind me on the left side, 7 times, and let's see if a white werewolf will appear and kill us. So this could be our final episode. If you find this is like if you find this film somewhere, please take it to the police. Kind of deal with getting close, but we're going to hop over the wall here just a little bit as well. So the claims at this case are that if you enter the cemetery under the light of a full moon, which it is a full moon, but unfortunately it's very overcast, you will hear howling, and the howling will be the call of the demons to come. It is then the 7 trips around the cemetery on the outside of the wall that is the trigger for your doom. So there's noises in the woods over here to my right already. So here we go. So we're gonna do this and have fun with it, and we hope to see you on the other side when we do this episode. So, all right, here we go.
Hey, Jamie, how are you?
Hey, Jen. I can't watch that intro without chuckling every time. You did such a great job. It was really cool.
Thanks. So I figured while you're walking around the graveyard 10 times or 7 times, we could talk about
10 times I would have been out of breath.
What's
7
going
was
on
just
here?
enough.
So how are you? Happy Halloween.
Hey, happy Halloween. Here we are, right?
So,
Good. What's shaking out your way?
not too much. I've been busy doing some editing on videos and some stuff. I threw some things together for this today, so
What?
it's been fun. And I was at White Hill Mansion on Friday night and had
That's
a good
right.
time there with 4 other people.
Okay.
Albert was there, Chris Mendez, and his girlfriend Kelly, and Dave Daramidi. We had a good time. And
all the cool kids went there, right?
Yeah. We had great interaction in the bar again. Had some good interaction in the 1 bedroom up on the 2nd floor, and then up in the attic. So I can't wait to go through video and audio and see what I've got. So.
Cool. Yeah. Like everything else, every minute you record, you got to spend a minute watching or listening. So
yeah,
it's never fast. So very cool. Very cool. All right. So we did a thing, right?
Yeah.
Here's the result. We have been teasing this for a couple of weeks now. We did this in the full moon in September, so it's been about a month. Because the last full moon here in October, the Hunter's Moon, was this past weekend. It's funny. I thought about this Saturday night. It was 82 during the day, and we would have been out doing this in shorts if we did it Saturday night. But instead, it was kind of a brisk evening, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but well, I'm not gonna give it away yet because we still have a little audio to go yet. But yeah, I think we might be onto something with this one. So
yeah. So, do we want to go into a little bit of history of Hans Graf and you said you looked up some stuff today?
Yeah, well, today in general, I mean, in the course of this, we talked, and this all came from an episode we did a couple weeks ago on urban legends. Remember that episode? It was, the Hans Graf Cemetery is a local one for us here in South Central PA, very specifically in the area around the Susquehanna Valley and the river. Rowena is a very small town. Marietta, right along the Susquehanna River, right near the Marietta River Park access point. So it's a blink and you miss it on 441 kind of thing. Excuse me. Pardon my coughing. I'm just getting over a cold last week, so I apologize. I may get a little raspy here, but there's not much there to see. And the cemetery itself being 40 feet by 60 feet or so.
Sit down on the ground.
We're on the final lap. It's the gun lap. So that, is one of those things where you will blink and miss it, by going by it. And it's down a road that, is fairly close to everything, but close to nothing either. So, as we rolled in there that evening, it was like a left turn and a left turn, and we're there. So, and to get out, it was a quick left and a quick right back toward, civilization, as you will. So, but it's got some good history to it. It's got some unique history, at least, and we'll talk about that here. Let's wrap this up part here.
Okay.
With the audio.
Yep.
Yes. 7 laps around the cemetery. Into the light of the full moon.
14 minutes.
We're 7 laps out here. I'm gonna hop back inside again, just to be safe. Make sure we cover our bases here, because the instructions, if you will, aren't quite crystal clear on what's supposed to happen. So I'm going to step back inside, look over the wall, slow down a little bit. You still get to hear the house.
So you can see here. First of all, there's a wall around the entire cemetery, as you mentioned in the opening. I mentioned as well. It's about 4 feet at the back side, which would be the north side, and no gate, no entrance.
I don't know. That was not my stomach.
It's just the part where we're like,
I'm going to do 7 laps inside.
Okay.
and then 7 laps inside just to be safe. So we double cursed ourselves here, right?
Exactly.
Maybe we reversed it. I don't know. Went in the same direction either way, so it wasn't like a reverse vortex or something. But my goodness, yeah. The cemetery is so old that the tombstones are either sun faded or weather faded or broken. There's only 2 that are fairly new by what we would call new, more like granite style. I'm guessing the material anyway. And both of the persons there have passed on quite a while ago, so I'm sure they were replacement stones for someone's who have disintegrated from age.
I found a little bit. The oldest readable headstone was of Anna Schock, which is why they call it the Schock burial ground, from 1779. And I believe the latest one is, and I forget the woman's name, but it was from 1928.
Yes.
So,
that's new, right?
New, yeah, exactly.
98 years ago.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's really, it's definitely interesting. So
absolutely. I feel like you're chasing me here now. This is kind of funny for me.
Okay, 7 laps inside, 7 laps outside the wall. Here we are. Still no howling, which is probably a good thing. And certainly not anything for any werewolf of any color kind. So, we'll discuss this more in the episode, but I think we might have to debunk this urban legend, at least for the moment. I still have to wake up in the morning. So.
if neither of us wake up in the morning, there's going to be some issues.
We got some explaining to do. All right. Well, I think we're going to sign off for now, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching.
Well, we did survive. So.
We did survive.
Yay! But the fun thing about this one, and I think with all urban legends, is that there's variations of it, and I think you and I were talking about this prior to the coming on, that we both have we have a slightly different history, in both ways. to say this is the legend because of. And I think that's kind of cool because, this is, again, it's not a big thing. It's not a big area. It's not a hot spot of any kind. So, but a lot of people know about it. So the word of mouth really is what's driven this legend along through all these years, and if I'm not mistaken, you found an article on it, explaining the legend, but it was from the 80s.
Yeah, 1982.
Well within our lifetimes.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, you were young back then, but still,
Exactly right.
Me too, right? Me too. But it's interesting because I've heard of this place before knowing about it, like as we do now, what we're doing. So how does that happen? And that's how urban legends live. They were passed on. It's oral tradition. And that's the beauty of it, and the fun of it too. Because it's like whisper down the lane to some degree, because it changes every time it's told, slightly. Not maybe immensely. Who knows? But we will probably never know the real truth because that is lost to history as well.
Speaking of like the
Thanks, Bert. You're the best.
So that sort of leads me to the next thing. You and I found several different variations of the urban legends on this place. Bert just hit on one. One of the oldest ones that I found was that if you entered the graveyard, that Hans Graf himself would rise out of his grave and to protect the cemetery. But there's one caveat to that. Hans
Graf
is not buried in this cemetery. He's actually buried in Grafdale Mennonite Brick Church Cemetery in Leola. So he's a good 20 miles away.
Oh, it's more than that. Yeah, he's the other side of the county.
He's
an hour away.
Yeah. So there, that was sort of the oldest one. And you said you found some reasons that possibly.
Yeah. So what I found was that the relatives and the people who are buried here are his descendants. They're people in his family. So, my take of it was that the people who were buried here were gunned down by locals because they were believed to have been werewolves. So Graf then himself put a curse on the cemetery to protect those in it and those around it from anything happening. So that way no one would rise again, if you will, and I'm thinking, if you think of that, I think more zombie than I do werewolf, but
right.
Whatever, and that way, that the area was safe from that werewolf thing. And that's where the werewolf curse comes from. It's like it kind of, I see how it extended there.
Right.
And the belief then is, of course, under that light of the full moon, as we were there for, that there would be apparitions of either a werewolf itself or the ghost or a werewolf would either appear or an apparition of a werewolf would rise between the tombstones. And there you are meeting your doom if you were there at the time. But they couldn't leave the walls of the cemetery. Hence why it's also enclosed and no opening. So there was no way out because of the curse. So that was curious, and a real quick piece about that. Hans Conrad Graf was born in 1661 in Zurich, Switzerland. He was a Swiss Mennonite who immigrated to the United States, or to America as it was then, excuse me, in 1669 to avoid religious persecution in Switzerland. He first came to Germantown, PA, then further west to Paradise, and then further west from there to Grafdale in eastern Lancaster County, eventually settling in the western end of the county in the area that is Rowena now, and in Marietta and Bainbridge and along the river. He was one of the earliest settlers along the Susquehanna, and it would put him in the peer group of the Haldimans in Bainbridge and the Wrights in Columbia and so forth, very early on. And he was a very respected man who had a very pious and religious viewpoint because of his beliefs. He lived to be 84 years old, and he passed away on May 7th, 1746 in Earl Township, which is back on the east side of Lancaster County, closer to Chester County. He is buried, as you mentioned, in Grafdale Mennonite Brick Church Cemetery in Leola, where his tombstone can be found to this day. So it's interesting to me. He obviously had family spread across, and that's likely why he moved back east. In his later years, I'm sure he was taken care of by his family. But having his plot elsewhere does make this all the more curious, especially with the inscription on the stone at the front end of the cemetery, as you see here.
Right.
It's really curious.
So yeah, some of the things that I found about him, I mean, he was one of the first settlers, so obviously he did have a big family, and his family was definitely spread out. He actually, one of the first things he did was set up a trading post with the Native Americans. Being out where he was, I'm sure it was still unpopulated by the Europeans, so he set up a trading post, and he actually bought land from William Penn's sons. That's how far back this goes. Trying to remember what else I had found. Just a lot of interesting history. I didn't realize how important he was to Lancaster County until I started doing some digging on this. He was one of the first people in the northern end, Anyway, so we covered one of the other urban legends, and you talked a little about another one in your intro. One thing is that phantom dogs couldn't be heard.
Yep.
So a popular story is that if you enter the cemetery, the phantom dog will make an appearance. The phantom dog has been described as both a large black dog or a small white dog. People who have also claimed to hear a dog barking or howling from within the walls or from the woods surrounding the cemetery. Well, we've both been there. I'm sure some of the other people here have been there. Yep. It's in the middle of farmland.
Yeah.
So hearing a dog howl is not going to be something that's all that unusual.
Yeah, and to that point, Chad, if you look at the upper left picture, where we're looking over the top of the wall and there's a tree line in the background, if you were to pan left another 50 yards or so, there's houses, and not, they're not new homes by any means. They've been there a long time. So they're established households, established families. If you were to look hard left, the road that is in front of the cemetery leads right into this little hamlet or village of Rowena. There's houses, another, 50 or 60 more yards there too. To the hard right, there's a farm up the road just a smidge. So there's definitely people, and people bring things, like pets to the table. Plus, pets get away occasionally. Especially the crafty ones. They find their way out and they find their way back. So, I wouldn't be surprised having an animal, a howl, a bark, and anything, and that would explain, the black dog, a white dog, and any colored dog for that matter, any size dog, being around. It's entirely probable. Welcome to farm country.
Exactly. So something that I found interesting while researching this is along this road, there are two other family cemeteries or family burial grounds.
Okay.
And if you look at Lancaster County as a whole, there's 208 cemeteries in Lancaster County. So, I mean, if you take out the church cemeteries, that's probably around 75 to 100. You take out the big community cemeteries, Lancaster, probably another 50. There are a ton of these little graveyard plots throughout the county in the weirdest spots.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, and that's a great point, because when we were looking at buying a house, there was a fantastic home we found kind of in the Conestoga area in southern Lancaster, not quite southern Lancaster County, but more along the lines of the southern end. And it was a farmhouse at one point with a barn. It was great. It just didn't have enough bedrooms. But as I'm walking the end of around the property, just checking it out, it's up against a farm field. There is on the top of the property on a little hill, 6 gravestones for members of the family who have passed away,
Right.
that didn't make it to a cemetery somewhere for whatever reason. And they're like these stones are. They're faded. They've been there a very long time. But and I was like, this is awesome. Let's get this house.
Uh-huh.
Because I wanted a graveyard in my backyard. It didn't work.
Yeah,
that was strike one automatically.
right. I mean, but it was
Against
a normal thing when you
Yeah.
had, like, when you didn't, that's you buried your family close, and so you would be close to them, and farms, and like, I mean, it's actually becoming, I don't want to say a problem, but it becomes challenging with development, because the health campus at LGH, I don't know if you are aware, there's a small plot right
Yes.
off of that
Yep.
it's sort of debatable who owns it and who takes care of it, and
Yep.
so yeah,
the
it's
farmstead that was there originally. Yes.
right.
Yep. Well, even in my neighborhood, there is, and I'm off of Marietta Avenue near Prospect Road here in Lancaster County. Kind of ruralish.
Mhm.
Right along Marietta Avenue, behind the neighborhood that I live off of, there is a small plot there as well, of about 10, 12 graves, headstones, and so forth that are, they're chained off, roped off, but it's somebody, whoever maintenances that area has to deal with that as well. And it's 5 feet off the road. So, the road goes, you buzz by it. If you're passing toward Marietta,
Right.
out of Lancaster, you'll buzz right by it and
Mhm.
probably never notice it, but it's clearly there. So again, you're right. They're everywhere.
Hmm. I've been trying to find it. There's actually a group on Facebook of people that go out and help take care of some of these cemeteries, because this one right now is in good shape. Different reports over the years have said that it's overgrown. You can't find any of the gravestones. So obviously someone's now taking care of this.
Yeah.
But there is a group of enthusiast isn't the right word, but there's a group of people who go out and actually take care of some of these old family plots, just to help, because some of them are on PennDOT property, and they mow up to the edge of them and
Stop right there.
yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
So it's
I was really surprised. I mean, I think it's, well, because of where it's located. It's at the edge of a field. It's probably never been overgrown. The north side, and you can see it in the image, in the lower left, upper right. That back side there, which is closer to the homes, is a little rough to get around, but it's not flat. It's overgrown. There are trees, and I'm sure those are not this graveyard has been here for well over 200 years. These are trees that have grown since. But no one's taken them down, or kept that area clear. So otherwise, it is pretty light maintenance looking. Even the ground around it, you can see it's not grass. So someone's taken the time to make sure that it's been knocked down, and it's not well trodden. It's not like people are going through there all the time. So, but it's almost maintenance free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised to hear the issues that you were explaining.
Mm-hmm. And that was several years ago. I think that was I think it was in the article about the first article I found in the 80s.
Back in the 80s. Okay. Well, I think things could have been, that's a long time ago now, sadly.
Now what's a little, what has to be taken care of here is these tree roots are growing into the wall.
Yes. It is going to start deteriorated. Yep. And there are gaps, and you can see, I don't know if I caught I thought I took a picture of it.
I mean,
there's a spot where there's definitely like an opening starting to happen. Mm-hmm. Some stones have definitely fallen through, and it is stacked stone, so it's not. There's probably no real good masonry here holding everything together, other than just gravity and placement. Somebody knew what they were doing when they did it, but right. That was a long time ago.
I mean, yeah,
it needs love.
Yep. One thing that you said that was interesting is the way the wall is built. It was sort of built over where you would think that people would be buried, the way the headstones were facing. Yep. So it almost is like the wall was added at a later point. So
again, because of the werewolves.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're right. There's two stones that are closer to the north side that are maybe 2-3 feet off of the wall. So there's certainly no room for someone to be buried they have to be behind the stone instead of in front, as most people are,
Hmm.
in order for that to work.
So yeah. Now, Jamie, though, I did read somewhere that you have to walk on the wall.
What?
Sometimes
Well, we're
around
going back
the
then.
wall.
All right. All right.
So,
When's the next full moon? Let's go.
28 days from yesterday.
Right. Of course. Right. Well, I might. Well, I'll be back. I'm going to be out of town for a little bit, but I'll be back by the end of the month. So,
Okay.
yeah. Well, that's just it. That's why I did the inside too. Like it does. I mean, I understand it to be you're on the outside of the wall, 7 times around, but it doesn't say to go left or right,
Mm-hmm.
or which direction to go. So we have to go back. That's all there is to it. We're still here. We have to go back.
I know some children who may not agree with that.
Well, I think there's kids that want to go along. So I don't know.
So
we can have a little walk the cemetery party.
So
yeah, I got to stop a sheet to get a milkshake on the way back. So
exactly.
So everybody's happy.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say we don't mean any disrespect to
absolutely not
to anybody. Yeah. We were following up on the urban legend, and
and this graveyard is a true piece of Lancaster County in our community history. The Graf family and the descendants of it. They're who helped get us here. And the things that we have. The vision of the commerce and trade. The relationship with the Native Americans, the good things, and Mr. Graf being a pacifist, really helps set the pace for others to follow. And kudos to all of that, and thanks for it. We wouldn't have as many things as we do now. In respect to the families that are buried there, certainly we weren't trampling over graves and knocking over things. We're very respectful to the space. It's a cool place. And it is available to the public. I think that's the neatest part of it. It's right there for us all to experience. In the daylight, mind you.
So I did find that it is actually on a preserved farm.
Yep.
It is right on the edge of the road. It's not like there's any no trespassing signs or anything like that up. So it's not.
Unlike everything else, be respectful. We talk about that all the time, right? If you're going to go investigate somewhere, get permission if it's needed. Don't trespass. Don't do things that are endangering others and damaging of the place. Be respectful of the environment, all that stuff. This is, because it's a public open space. It makes it a lot easier, and it's not posted, and that is really a cool thing. Let's keep it that way for the next the next person who wants to do it.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, definitely. But there were definitely, the night we were there were definitely some noises. There's movement in the woods. We didn't know what that was. The other thing is, it is near an airport. It's near Harrisburg Airport.
Yeah.
So at one point I did hear something fly over. There was the howl of that maybe somebody's getting that confused with the dog. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, and we're probably half a mile from the river as well, and the sound carries a lot along the river line, with the wide open space and so forth. So even something distant could seem close that way. Having lived close to the river for a long time, we can hear. There are times when you hear people talking on islands out in the river, just like they're in your front yard. With the right environment and of course the right intent on their side to make noise, but. And even folks all the way across the river, the Lomont Farm complex that has become an event space on the other side in Wrightsville, we can hear all the way in the eastern side of the river. So, it's, and who knows? And maybe it's real, maybe it's true, maybe there is. It just didn't happen for us. This is the unknown. This is kind of why we do this, right?
Right. I do remember that night driving home. They. Not that I've ever seen or met a werewolf, but the story is that they smell sort of skunkish and driving home, I had a smell that was a combination of skunk and manure. So I just like hit this area, and it was like, well, that's weird. Is this it? Is it coming to get me? um, it didn't. I'm still here, but it was sort of my, you know,
I had
I
an
mean,
uneventful drive home. Darn it,
yeah.
man! I should have went. I should have went a different way. Um,
But we live in Lancaster County, so manure is not an uncommon smell, and
Neither are skunks. Yeah, I have
neither
them in my
skunks.
neighborhood, so
Oh,
yeah, I'm on the edge of two Amish farms out here, so we get all kinds of critters crawling around
yeah.
and walking through.
And in
Um,
the neighborhood I live in, the skunk smell could be something else too. So,
let's welcome to a college town.
uh,
Good point.
so yeah. Anyway,
Well, so I think I guess I got to ask, what do you think? Haunted, not haunted, paranormal, not paranormal?
well, I think this is too well. I don't think that very many graveyards are actually haunted, to be honest with you. And I think we've debunked this urban legend, this myth, whatever you want to call it. I think this one we've sort of debunked. But I don't really think the graveyards are the place that spirits want to hang out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a lot of dead people there. It's boring.
Yeah, I mean, and it's if a spirit's going to hang out, it's going to hang out some place that it was either tied to or happy about, and a graveyard is neither of those. Like
Right.
as a person, you don't really visit a graveyard unless you're there for a funeral. Your spirit's not really tied to your body, so why would we assume that graveyards are haunted?
Absolutely. I think we've proven enough from going to the gazillion locations that we've been at, around the way, and the times that we've been out investigating that, we don't do graveyards for that very reason.
Right.
Spirits are drawn to the places that made them happy,
Mm-hmm.
and or traumatized them, either way, I guess. But
Right.
it's not that space.
Yeah.
Unless they worked in the graveyards. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, maybe
Right.
a caretaker would be drawn there, but But so, what are your thoughts? I mean, you asked mine. What are you? I mean,
I want to believe it. I do. I always do, but I don't. I like the story. I love the story, actually. I think it's a cool one, and it's one that has legs. It's lasted for hundreds of years. With technology and all the stuff we have now, we can go out and do the video and the audio and capture all this. What we took about 15 minutes to get this done, in the first round of walking the perimeter, and well, we're here, like we're on camera. So, we made it, thankfully. So it's a great story, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Nothing more.
Yeah. I mean, there have been accounts of people feeling like they were pushed while they were doing the walk, and they, did they get brushed by a branch? Did they trip over some, who knows? But
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. We have to leave this one as it is what it is. It's a great urban legend, a great story, to pass on to next generation. And
Yep.
Yeah.
It was fun to do it too. So thanks for, braving the risking your life to do it.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time that night. So.
I'm really proud of you on this, and I'm going to give you credit because walking around the 3/4 of the place is pretty easy because it's flat. When you get to that back corner and then around the back end, with all the branches and all the roots and the steps and the rocks and so forth. I don't know if you saw it in the video. I was trying to hold a flashlight, but you're holding the camera, with the light in your face. So kudos to you for not wiping out somewhere, because that would be even funnier, I think. And we wouldn't edit that out.
Exactly.
But that was pretty cool. So thanks for the good work on it.
Yeah, no, it was fun. So hopefully we'll come up with some other things to do that we can take field trips and get some.
I have some ideas on that too. I think you're absolutely right. We need to get out more and we can. So, and we do. So, when we're off site somewhere, let's try to figure out how to get that plugged into one of these episodes too. Okay. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I think so. So, any more you want to hit on this or the cemeteries in Lancaster or any of that? I wish I could find that group, because if people are interested, there's definitely a need for taking care of this stuff. But
Yeah, I'm aware of what you're talking about too. Here in the area in Columbia, there is a Mount Bethel Cemetery right in the center of the borough.
mhm,
It's forever old as well. It's got it's a a borough block. It's huge, and it's got a gorgeous wrought iron fence all the way around it. The stones in the back end are forever old, and the same thing. They're decaying, and I know some work was done there. There's another smaller cemetery on Old Chickies Road, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but it has some Civil War veterans in it. Same thing. The stones are deteriorating. I know some work was done there by this group, so they're active, and
mhm.
way to go. I mean, it's obviously it takes time and attention to bring things back, and
Right.
good job for doing it, and the effort they're up to. So this
Ac-
preserves some history.
yeah, actually, I did find it. Let's see if I can. Uh, oh, it's this button, and there we go. It's called Grave Concerns Inc. Incorporated of Lancaster.
What a catchy name.
hmm So they go out and they help take care of some of these old cemeteries and stuff. So
Very cool.
yeah. So anyway, that's that. Let's see. And I've got a puppy trying to climb on my lap.
Aw. Hey, Maggie.
So should we jump into what's going on?
Yeah, we got a few things to wrap up the rest of the year. So this Saturday at the brewery, we are sold out, or we are at capacity. So we apologize if someone's looking to get in. There are tickets though for the 18th, and the 18th has a very special guest. At least I think we can. Well, we've shared this on social media,
Yep,
so we can share
talk
it now.
about it.
A guy named Daryl Marston, which you may have heard of before, of
Mhm.
A&E's Ghost Hunters, and quite a cool guy, a friend of our organization, our team, is coming to. He's going to bring some books. His book, gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, it's I'm the horrors of the House of
House of
Wills.
Wills. As soon as I said, I couldn't think of it. I thought of it.
Uh-huh.
Which is it's a fairly new release. It's only been out for a month or so. He's bringing books to purchase and sign and so forth, and do some Q&A of the good stuff that he does. He is such a cool, engaging guy. So it's going to be a fun evening on the 18th. Tickets are still available, so but not for long. As soon as it starts to spread, I'm sure this will happen pretty quick, and we'll be out.
And
Sold out again.
I believe things are a little different that night. There's going to be an opportunity for people to come in and buy the book earlier in the evening, and then a personal meet and greet with him a little bit before the investigation, and then we'll do the investigation after that.
We'll do ghost stuff.
We'll do this. Well, I won't, and you won't, because we won't be there that night.
That's true. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town. I know, right?
Yeah. So, but Daryl's always a great person to chat with and talk to. Very down to earth and humble, and the book is definitely worth reading. I got the audio book, and I lent you my copy. Did you get it? I did.
Yeah, it's I know where it is.
So it's definitely an interesting read. So it makes you question whether or not what we do is always the safest thing or not. So
well, yeah, that's what we always have to wonder, right?
So
yeah. Well, after Daryl and on to December, how are we like starting November tomorrow? This is crazy. We got 2 investigations in December, so this is a great gift for your friends and family who enjoy ghost hunting and paranormal stuff. Get them a ticket. Have the gift of an experience instead of the tie they're going to put in the closet. I know they need underwear, so always do that.
Right.
But
I mean, they get to hang out with us, Jamie.
It's true. And to be honest with you too, Chad, I one of the things I really appreciate about Boobies is the way they do the decor for the seasons and the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's really cool what they do there, especially in the Central Hotel. For Christmas time, it is gorgeous. But December 2nd, December 16th are coming up pretty quick as well. Mm-hmm. Get tickets while they're available. Don't wait. Yep. We'll have some January and February dates here in a couple of weeks once we start looking at the New Year calendar. So more to come.
Definitely. So,
All right. You can get them at saverstub.com and all the link below.
As usual, here's our social media links. You found us on Facebook. TikTok is definitely jumping, hopping. Courtney's doing a great job on that. Give Courtney a shout out.
Jumping and hopping. That's double dipping. Double dipping, awesome.
So, and then Instagram, we've got stuff going on there. So, whatever whatever the one you like, we're there on all of them. So,
you got it.
So, you've got a week coming up next week. Do you know what you're doing yet, Jamie?
Yeah, sure.
Do you remember what you're doing yet?
I do actually. I thought about it today. As I'm like, oh wait, I got to get going on this. So we're going to talk about gin, which is a. I'm going to leave it alone with that. I'll just say we're going to talk about gin.
Okay.
And then, we'll go from there. And then the week after is you. And you know what you're doing.
I do. I'm going to start talking about ITC. Do you know what that is?
I do not know. I'm trying to make an acronym, a funny acronym out of this.
And of course I can't remember it all. So
we're the best. This is why we have tens of fans, right there.
Tim would be upset with me, I'm sure. And I'm blanking on it completely at this point now that I've made a fool of myself. It's intra-trans communication.
Ooh, okay.
So they're the things like EVPs, Staticom that Lourdes and Ron do, and there's things that go way back, way back further than the recorders and things like that. So it's EVPs. It also Ovilus and those sort of things. Some of these apps on the phones, they all fall under that intra-trans communication. So and dig into it a little bit more. Hopefully, have a better explanation in 2 weeks.
All right, so, you get 2 weeks, and it's funny. We're going to use some communication then, and we're going to be about as far apart as we've ever been for this episode too. So I'm going to be in Las Vegas that week. So hopefully I can scare up some fun.
So
well, speaking of Amanda, hey, get better. Be on the mend soon, my friend. I'm happy to hear you pulled through all the good stuff there, and we're thinking of you. And go Birds.
Yep. So, well, anything else, Jamie, or do we want to?
I don't know. Can we rumble and bumble and stumble just a little bit longer? I don't know. Can we?
Probably could. So, well, this was definitely a fun one to do.
I got to tell you, Chad. I've said this to you already off camera, but I was so excited to get to this, and I wanted to trying to how do you tease this out, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it as much as we did to do it, and if anybody wants to see the long version of our 15-minute walk around the wall, I'm sure we can get it to you, but it's boring. It's really boring.
I was glad I could speed it up that quickly.
Yeah, good job.
So.
It makes me look fast again, like once upon a time.
So.
Yeah, and any longer than you walking behind me looking at my butt too. Nobody wants to see that, so it's all good. I'm glad it was fast.
So, all right. Well,
thanks, dude.
All right. Well, I will. I'll roll the end credits, and I did give credit to the animation and the moon in the credits, so check that out. So, all right. We'll see everybody in a week, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right.
Catch you then. Thanks, guys.
Good night.